of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing?
Well, there's two big events going on this week, Mark.
A snowstorm and another snowstorm.
There's a potential I could have been good fishing at both the Toyota Series Championship going on Lake Cumberland in Kentucky, obviously pushed back because everything's been pushed back this year, and then the final open for the Eastern Division on Lay Lake. And let me just go to your go-to topic and favorite thing to talk about over the 12 years or 15 years, however long we've been doing
a dynamic shift here.
We'll just start with Birmingham, Alabama. Where the low today is 24, highs 47. Second day of the tournament, 37 degrees and raining on Friday to wrap up most people's Eastern Open season. Yeah. And then we'll slide over to Burnside, where balmy 18 degrees with 32 for the high today. It's going to get all the way up to 50 on Thursday, but on Friday, a nice wintry mix with 32 for the low.
Miserable
we'll greet
conditions.
Those guys. So
they should be chomping,
we finally got some winter weather. I mean, we kind of lingered between summer and early fall when it should have been, and then now those guys are getting it. But good luck. Have fun with that.
I'm sure they're chomping, man.
Oh man, it was the first. You have your posts based on the season and writing the tournament in the on the boat cover. 2020 Cumberland, or hey, it's snowing on Lay Lake. That's been the in vogue thing to do, Mark.
Yeah. Well, very cool. All right, great show today. We're gonna have a longtime friend, a guy that I've known for a long time. Very excited to hear what he has to say about the future of Mike Iaconelli. We're going to have him on here in about 10, 15 minutes. And then I want to let everybody know tomorrow we'll have John Cox on the show Wednesday. And then I'm working on stuff for next week. But we will actually be doing some remote stuff next week, correct?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I got a little derby in the Ozark area next week.
Yeah. Fun derby.
Yeah, I don't think there's any off limits though, and there's some guys in it that I'd like to beat. So it just depends on if I get the hankering to go up and pull a little pre-practice in, then we might have to do some stuff on location. Otherwise, I'll be here Monday and Tuesday.
Okay.
And possibly Wednesday. Also, before we get to it, I really don't want to say the name of this bait because it hasn't been produced in 20 years. I don't think our guest today probably even knows what the hell this is.
I bet he does.
No, I don't think he does.
Okay.
I don't think he does.
All right.
I think it goes so old school. I mean, we're talking Harry and Charlie Abu
Would Jimmy
Garcia,
Houston know what it is?
5,600 round reels with the Berkeley big game line, Scuppernong flavored jelly worms. That's the kind of era we're in.
Would Jimmy Houston know?
We're in where if you say silicone skirt, they're like, what the hell is that? I mean, it was flower.
Would Jimmy Houston know?
I think Jimmy Houston's only thrown that one spinnerbait his entire life, Mark. I don't think he would know.
You just gave it away what it is.
No, it's not. It's
okay.
not that. Look at that. Look at that thing.
It's
But I have to
impressive.
give a big shout out to Tacklecraft. Everyone just calls him TK. He does a hell of a job, like painting baits. He's in the know. And anyway, it was mentioned on Baxter the Baitman live stream that then I had talked to Epic Eric about it. That Epic Eric mentioned it anyway, and then I ended up in my DMs. And the dude sent me one. I'm flashing it up right there. That's all everyone gets, and now it's going into the background.
Can you say what it's called?
No, because then it'll be gone on eBay, because they already did it when they mentioned it, and they were all gone on eBay. So I need to get some because there's a couple out there right now.
What color is it? I forgot. What is it? Like Black and yellow?
Yeah, it looks like Skeet Reese in the 80s. Black and yellow, a little bit of bling on it.
That would be the 90s or
But I mean,
early
look at
2000s.
it. It's interesting, isn't it? Look at how short that top arm is. Do not say a word. Read the back of the package, though. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
What is it? You can join the Bass Casters Association. You get a year subscription to the Lunker Hole magazine. You fishing tournaments for those who enjoy competition. You get an ID card. You get a membership decal. And the membership belonging to the BCA, the Bass Casters Association. And then literally you cut out the deal on the back of the package, fill it out with a quill and ink, and send it in, and now you're
there you have it.
You're a member.
All right, real quick. There is a viewer out there. Her name is Vanessa. And this is really important because she sent me an email yesterday. She has MS. And I tried to respond to her email. And for some reason, it kicked back. It rejected. So I want to get some info to you, Vanessa. Please send me an email, mark@basszone.com. I'll respond back with the info that you requested. But, man, the feedback that I got from the show yesterday, man, the post-game show that we want to do, advice on dieting, menus. I got menus yesterday.
Oh, yeah, you had professional anglers making sure you were okay.
Yeah. So
I'm getting DMs about your MS.
I can't thank everybody enough for all the kind words yesterday, but we're still kicking. We're going to keep kicking, and we've got some really, really cool stuff that we're going to do in December that's going to build up to 2021. Now, what do I always do in the month of December, Matthew? What? Every year for the past probably 6 years.
What do you always do? Do you go on vacation?
No. Has to do with
You're nice to me?
With the Bass Zone.
With the Bass Zone. You redo
I redo. Okay? I am in the process of redoing the website, redoing the intro, redoing the music, and we will kick things off the first week of January.
You're going to redo that deal where it's like a load of soul. That was an accident, wasn't it?
It was.
Like that was in the royalty-free music.
Yeah.
Like as a timestamp or something, and it ended up in there.
Yeah.
Then remember when you did it last time, you did not have the BTL coming at you. And I was like, dude, you got to redo it. You've done that every show. I mean,
I know.
You can't.
It will be in there for 2021. So I'm working on that. We've got some new sponsors that are going to come on board in 2021, and we've got some cool stuff. We're going to kick off the BTL Marketplace in 2021. We kind of tested that out to see what we needed to do, what we needed to correct, and that's going to be part of the lineup in 2021, but some exciting stuff that is going to take place. And you'll see some videos that are going to be out on Facebook and Instagram and all that other stuff you do here in the month of December that kind of builds up to what we're doing in 2021.
Okay.
All right.
You can tell me what kind of videos I need to be shooting as soon as the show's over.
No. I've got it all, dude.
Oh, you're doing it?
Yeah. It's all creative. Kind of behind the scenes stuff.
Oh God, I can't wait to see this stuff. This is all news to me.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have tons of videos.
You know what's going to happen. You just don't know what the promos are going to be.
Are we changing this whole back?
No.
That's staying the same?
Yeah, everything in the studio is staying the same. Yeah, no different.
But new promos.
Well, there will be a promo in the month of December that talks about what's going down in 2021.
All right. You've piqued my interest.
Well, you know what's going on. I wouldn't do anything without your knowledge of what's taking place. So that's kind of what we're working on, but it was great to be back yesterday. And, man, I am really kind of concerned about the Bassmaster Classic Expo. I have been thinking about this. I've been talking to other people. I actually talked to somebody in Fort Worth yesterday, and I think there are definitely some major concerns whether or not they're going to be able to pull this thing off.
I mean, anything that involves a crowd in the next 3 months is got to be concerned about pulling it off.
Yeah. I don't know, and I was thinking about what the alternative might be. Could they do it virtual, kind of like what ICAST tried to pull off?
Where you virtually log into the expo?
Yeah, where you have companies and people inside the expo just as a social distancing standpoint, but the fans across the world could actually see what is taking place.
You still set up the expo and stuff? Why don't you just have the guys like go to the headquarters and stuff if there's no expo? They're got to travel anyway. Why do you put them all in one spot? I mean, you got two options. You either do it basically like ICAST, or you take guys like Ike and you put him behind plexiglass and you let 20 people in at a time, and he's standing in the whatever Berkeley Abu booth holding his rod and reel. You tap on the glass and he's like, "Look, it's the new Ike rod," and then you give him the thumbs up, and then they give you the rod through the little hole.
Is that the fortune teller?
It's like when you go to the gas station now and you've got like if you're buying like a 40 ounce, not that anyone I know would buy a 40 ounce, but you try to get that thing through the little plexiglass
hard to
deal.
do. By the way, I was getting gas the morning that we went to Tin Killer. I got gas that morning. It was like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and a dude pulled up to the gas station, gets out of his truck, and he had a badass truck. I bet this was like a $60,000-$70,000 Z71 Chevy truck.
Okay.
He was in his pajamas.
Yeah.
And all he did was walk up, get gas. But here's the deal. The pajamas didn't match. He had like green tops and purple bottoms.
Where are we going with this?
And he had pink house shoes on.
Okay. Do
you not think that that's kind of bizarre at 3:30 in the morning?
No, I would expect to see that at 3:30 in the morning.
I guess he had to get somewhere. Jeez, in his PJs. Anyway, but I have some great concerns whether or not that Bass and everybody else that's involved in this industry is going to be able to pull off the expo. And maybe there's some alternatives out there that we just haven't thought of, but I don't know how you can put 6 feet when that is the most jam-packed venue in the game and in the history of the game. There probably isn't an event that you have more people in one location than the Bassmaster Classic Expo when it comes to fishing.
100%.
So I don't know what they're going to do. All right, man. What else?
We'll talk to Ike about this, but it appears Ron Linder passed away.
Yeah, that's some sad news.
Yeah.
If that's the case. I mean, I grew up in my angling career.
Yeah,
just my interest in
growing up with Al and Ron.
Yeah. So some sad news if we have not received confirmation on that.
I believe he was in his 80s too.
Well,
still
good dude,
fishing,
man.
Yeah. Didn't we have the two brothers on the show that one time?
We had
with Gary Judici. It was Al and Ron. It was
those
two.
Yeah.
Remember? It was like a 2-hour show. They just like took over the show.
Yeah.
It was in the old house. Judici was in there. He set the thing up.
Yeah. It was
and we had him on. Was Dynamic somehow involved with that too?
No.
No. That wasn't.
Was Brent still here?
No, but I remember we had him on and we were like, we don't know how this is going to go because they don't
Yeah, you're right. Judici set that up.
And they like took the show over for 2 hours, and it was like one of the greatest shows ever. We might have to run some replays of that.
Do we have that archive?
That would be on like a tape, wouldn't it?
In that stack of tapes that are over in the corner. It might still be on
Vimeo.
It might be on Vimeo too. I don't know. We'll check it out. But sad news in the world of fishing, and not just bass fishing, but there was so much information and so much entertainment brought down by Ron Linder in this game. So sad news, and we wish his family.
We'll ask Ike about that.
Yeah, we'll make sure.
Ike knows all those guys there.
Yeah. All right.
That's about all I got. Yeah, the weather and that's it right now.
All right, cool. I also got a couple of emails. People were asking and saying that John Cox was going to try and fish the Elite Series.
I don't know. So this is how it went down. So the other And I don't want to refer to him as the other John Cox because he's not. I mean, the guy's name is John Cox. There's two guys that are named John Cox, but he actually posted the clip where I clarified that there are two John Cox fishing. But then there were also comments that John Cox, the FLW Tour Pro, Elite Series Pro, hasn't ruled out anything. And now I'm still just as confused. But there is one John Cox that is 100% fishing the NPFL.
But not the John Cox.
Well, he is the John Cox, just not the John Cox. You see what I mean?
I got
Like, he's not any less of an angler just because his name is John Cox, and he should. It'd be like if...
You got JC1 and JC2.
Right, but there's a different spell in there. It's just, it's a different guy.
Yeah.
But then there was also confirmation that the John Cox that we've had on the show before might not be closed. Any hell, that guy might fish 35 tournaments next year. Or show up at a BFL in Oklahoma, and he's going to have the rig as far as it can go up the Neosho.
We'll see. We'll find out on Wednesday. All right, everybody, stay tuned here on a Tuesday. Coming back with Ike. Everybody, stay tuned.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. The best fish finding tools, from chirp sonar and fish reveal to side scan and down scan imaging, and complete touchscreen control from your trolling motor to your big motor.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need a 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
As a professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Lew's doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Hey everybody, Todd Faircloth here. Want to show you one of my favorite braided lines, SX1 30-pound Sunline braid. I use this braided line for a couple of different applications, and one of my favorites to use for this line is a swim jig. Casts great, and it's small diameter, and it just works really great on a swim jig. Another technique I like to use for 30-pound SX1 Sunline braid is whenever I'm flipping like a light, say an 1/8 to a 1/4 ounce weight in grass, small diameter, I don't lose much action on my worm, just works great in those scenarios. So if you're looking for a braided line for a swim jig or fishing a light Texas rig, check out Sunline's SX1 30-pound braid.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday, and it is time to go to our special guest. And let me get him queued up here. Ike, you there, man? I think he's there. Ike? Ike is not there. We can see Ike.
Is he messing with us?
He might be. No, I just heard that. I just heard something. He moved something.
Yeah. He's got to be messing with us.
He's messing with us.
Yeah, because he's raising his eyebrows.
Yeah,
he says no, that he can't hear?
That's not true. Because I can hear him.
But maybe he can't hear us.
Oh, what did he just do?
He tried something else. How about that?
Are you
now?
jacking with us?
Nope. Now it said volume no. Now he's got volume.
I can hear him. Hey, we tested this thing for what, 20 minutes before the show?
Yeah. You need to run another set of commercials and get Ike's audio set up.
What are you doing?
We can hear him.
Here,
he's texting.
He just
he's
texted
texting. Like the in-class text.
It says I can't hear you guys. Dude,
Can he click on, maybe if he clicks on something on his...
There.
Could he ever hear us?
What, when we were doing the testing before?
Yeah.
Here. Let me give him some messages here.
What do you guys text now? We got a little text-a-thon going on between Mike Iaconelli and Mark Jeffries over here in the production studio if you're listening to this on iTunes. Now Ike just went away. Now Ike's back. We got audio with him.
Becky! Where's Becky?
Now we're calling.
I hear a phone ringing.
Is that your phone?
No.
It's not my phone.
No.
See,
okay, we can hear him.
I can't hear anything.
All
of a sudden.
we can hear you. So what's sign language for be careful? Because I
can't hear anything.
Here comes
I could
Becky.
hear it the whole time. Now I can't hear anything.
Was that you don't have anything clicked over there, do you, Mark?
No, I have nothing to do with that. That's all on their end.
Oh. How about now?
You got us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Should I mute the mic now?
No. Here we go. We got it. We got you now?
Yes, no?
I took the headphones out.
All right, I'm gonna mute it.
Okay, so now he's muted.
Here, let me do this.
What?
I'm just gonna call him.
Okay.
Not for the show.
Yeah, you're muted now. Oh, he said he can hear us now?
Oh, okay.
What the heck? Now he's back. Okay, but you've got him muted.
I got him muted.
All right, I can hear you now.
All right, you got us now?
I have you.
All right,
what
very
the
nice.
heck was that?
Man, what were you messing
I don't
around
know.
after we tested this thing?
No, and it's funny because I heard the whole prelude to all that, and I even know what lure that is and all that stuff. So.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's the Tornado.
Oh, I knew he'd know it. Go to eBay, get the Tornado. They'll be sold out now. Dang it, Ike! You gave up the secret. Do you really know what lure that is?
No, was it not the Tornado? It looked like I saw it real briefly. It looked like some kind of short arm spinnerbait. There was a few.
Just flash it real quick for him again. Where's the best camera to flash it?
Over there.
Yeah. Over where?
Yeah, right
I thought it was a Tornado. I can barely see that.
Can you put this camera on, Mark?
No.
No, you don't want to mess with that. No.
Some kind of short arm spinnerbait. I don't know. I like it.
All right.
All right, Mike. We have a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. But first, Matt, he mentioned that we heard of the passing of Ron Linder. Can you tell us anything on that? Is that true?
Yeah, I had heard the same thing, and then I texted a good friend of mine this morning, Dan Quinn from Rapala, and he said it is true. So Ron passed yesterday. Ron was battling cancer for a while, and I think he ended up getting COVID, which complicated things, and he did pass yesterday. So we lost a good one. We lost a legend of the sport yesterday. For a lot of people, but especially guys up in our part of the world, in the Northeast, the In Fisherman crew and what they did in the beginning, they really were instrumental to a lot of guys up here in my part of the world. I mean, as a kid, it was that forum and that platform, and Al and Ron and all those guys, they were one of the reasons I wanted to further my learning and fishing. They were one of the early ones that were teaching. They were talking about techniques, patterns, stuff you had never heard of back in the 80s. So it's sad. But the other thing Dan did mention, and this is awesome, and this really defines who Ron is, and if you knew Ron, you'll totally get this. 16 days ago, Ron was fishing with a smile on his face and casting and throwing lures, even in the midst of battling these health problems. So that was Ron. I mean, I saw Ron last year at a seminar, and Ron had the energy of a 15-year-old. Even he was surely in his 80s. I don't know exactly how old Ron was, but
he was 86. He was born in 1934.
Yeah.
86. Yep. He had the energy of a 15-year-old on the water, off the water. Every time you would talk to him, he would want to keep teaching and telling stories. And that's who he was. And man, I aspire to be like Ron, as I get older and to have that energy. And he loved fishing just as much 16 days ago as he did when he first did it as a kid, I'm sure. And you could tell that was authentic,
I'm sure he had a lot of influence in people in the South. And when I say the South, I'm talking, people that really were never exposed to so many techniques and even species that Ron and Al fished for on that television show, and really opened the eyes of so many people that kind of had tunnel vision when it came to fishing.
For sure. When you look back on it, it's funny, everything comes full circle. But when you look back on their teachings in the late 70s through 80s into the 90s, a lot of that stuff was groundbreaking at the time. Talking about how fish set up on structure, seasonal movement, catching suspended fish. Those guys were using a shaky head before it was called a shaky head. That kind of stuff was so critical for a lot of anglers. And the sport itself, who knows? If you didn't have Ron and Al Linder, if you didn't have In Fisherman, who knows where the sport would have been? I mean, they were definitely ahead of the curve.
Oh, yeah. I watched all of it.
Yeah.
F plus L plus P equals S. Do you remember that one, Ike?
I don't
Fish
remember that. No, I don't
plus
remember
location
that
plus presentation equals success.
Yeah,
that was one of his big thing.
And all of that was critical, very critical.
Oh, geez. Yeah, so a couple of people in the industry, man, have passed away here recently. Ron, and then Phil Marks passed away here recently, who had a huge impact on the tackle industry with Strike King. So, man, thoughts are with the families of both of those people.
Yeah.
Major influence on what we have going on. All right, Mike. Last week, it was Thanksgiving. I saw some pretty cool pictures of you and your family dining on a little turkey.
Yeah.
And it made me think, because I've known you for a long time. I've spent a lot of time around you doing the documentary and stuff. But I think a lot of people out there really don't understand the importance of family and what family means to you. And I thought that was very apparent with some of the photos that you put out last week during Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, it's super important. I think, part of it was the environment and the culture I grew up in here. You got to remember this area, Philadelphia, South Jersey area, like there are literally families that live together their whole lives. Like it's okay to be 40 and still live with your mom in South Philadelphia. Like it's very acceptable, seriously.
Yeah.
But I think for me, a lot of that, is where I grew up. It's how the environment I grew up in, and family was always so important. It still is. I get asked all the time. For 20 years, I've been asked, why the hell didn't you move down south? Why didn't you move to Alabama or Tennessee or, somewhere where it's more of a hotbed of professional fishing? And, we talked about it. I thought about it, but it was always getting back to that family. And, for me, staying here, staying in New Jersey, staying around my family and my cousins, and now my step parents through Becky and all that, we could never move. So it's very important to me, family. COVID has been a challenge, but we still had a small Thanksgiving with our immediate family. We've had Thanksgivings that are extended over a larger grouping of our family, but this year with COVID, it was smaller. But my family keeps me going, and bad times, good times, they're there for me, and they're and that's an important thing. I think without my family, without their support, I don't know if I would have lasted this long in professional fishing.
All right. Well, having said that, I really kind of wanted to set it up to really give you an opportunity to talk about family. When the news came out, the press release comes out with the roster for the 2021 BPT, and your name was missing.
Yeah.
All right. I know a lot of people across the country were going, why? They asked the question, why? All right. Can you answer that question? And did family have a lot to do with the reason for you not re-upping with the BPT?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer it two ways for you, Mark. And the one is the most unsexy, non-exciting answer you could get. The other one, I'll dive a little deeper for you. So the first part of it, and this is actually the main reason, is I just couldn't sign it because of the commitment. About the middle of October, Becky and I and the kids we took a little fall fling. We went in the camper for about a month, and we traveled up the coast to Maine and then back down through Vermont and New Hampshire. It was great. During that trip, there was a deadline where we had to sign a document that said, and I don't want to go into all the legalities of it. Basically said, I'm committing my 2021 to Major League Fishing to compete in X number of BPT events, to commit other things throughout my year to MLF and that circuit. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because there were so many other things looming from a business standpoint for us, and also from a personal standpoint. I couldn't commit it. I couldn't commit to signing that document. I mean, it might be hard for guys to maybe wrap their hand around that, but it'd be no different than you seeing something online. They're like, oh my God, I gotta have it, but it's $10,000. I gotta have it. I don't care. I'm just gonna get it. Couldn't do that. I couldn't commit to something that I wasn't sure if I could fulfill their my obligation and their needs. I don't know, and I still don't know as we're talking right now. Mm-hmm. So the first part of it was I just couldn't commit from a standpoint of feeling good about signing something that wasn't that I didn't know I could fulfill those obligations. So that was part of it. That was the main thrust of it. And so maybe the second part of that, which are these other things, is there's a lot of stuff going on right now with our business that is exciting and new, and ways to reach people and ways to continue to do what I've done over the last 20 years through pro fishing, which is to impact people, to influence people, to relate to people. That is not directly through a professional tournament league. And, the reality of it for us in the last, since COVID, right? Since March, April, is that we learned that we maybe don't necessarily need professional competition to impact people that way. And, so like the good thing, sounds weird because COVID is not a good thing, but the good thing that came out of it for us is we had to learn new ways to reach people, and we had to double our output of digital content and all these things we learned. And then as we sat back now in September and October and looked at the data, we saw how much more impactful we were without fishing tournaments, right? With focusing more heavily on these other things. And that's, the Ike Foundation, that's Ike Live, that's Bash U, that's Going Ike, that's some new projects we're working on. And one in particular that will be groundbreaking for us and groundbreaking for fishing in general. So, taking all that into account, I couldn't sign that document. And then the other part, and this is the part you hinted around, which is I've known for a long time that having more time at home, having more family time is something that I really need. And, I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 older girls and I've got 2 younger kids, and I've experienced it both ways. And the last, 6 months since COVID, I've been afforded more time at home with my family than ever before. And, I got to tell you that it's something I love, and it's something that it's who I am as a person. It's even deeper than the need to compete, because I'm as competitive as anybody out there. And every time they say go at a tournament, I want to beat everyone's brains in. I think every competitive angler feels like that. But being home, being with my family more, having that extra time, it's meant a lot to me. And if we can be as or more effective in reaching people and influencing people and being relatable to fans without competitive fishing through these other things, and it affords me more time at home with my family, that's a win-win for me. So I know it was a long-winded answer, but honestly, I can sit here and tell you, I can look you dead in the eye. I'll even get closer and try to get them real big eyeballs at you right there. I can honestly tell you that I do not know what 21 has in store for me, our family, our businesses. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be tournament fishing in 21. I don't know if this new project gets greenlit and that's the big thing. I don't know. Maybe I'll end up tournament fishing. Maybe I'll end up back at MLF. Maybe they'll take me back. Maybe they'll create another slot for me. And if they can't, I understand. Maybe I'll end up back at Bass in one regard or another, whether it's through the Opens or through an elite, a Legends exemption. I don't know. I can honestly sit here and tell you and look at you and say that I, at this point, do not know. I really think the next 4 to 6 weeks, we will have some great, and we'll have some answers that come past us, and we'll have more direction, and we'll be able to really, come on this show and say, here's what we're doing in 21. But as of right now, I don't know.
Oh, I thought you had a question,
Well,
Matt.
no, I do. I was trying to. I'm just trying to go through. I mean, you talk about the desire, and you talk about all these other things, and then I mean, you still remember the never give up with the spinning rod down there to win the Bassmaster Classic, and everything that you've gone through, and how important winning is. And I keep going back to. I mean, I follow Vegas on Instagram. And the guy wins everything, and you watch him, and you watch how he's like a little Iaconelli, and then you look at, you've got Randy Howell's kid competing in the Costa or the Toyota Series Championship, and Britt Meyer's kids, and what Jackson Rambanis is doing, and I can't help but think, I mean, you watch him out there. You got the little Torquedo with the little boat, and it's either you or Becky, and he's holding it up. I can't help but think. I mean, you've got the older daughters, you got Stella at Vegas. But in the last year, Vegas has like really gotten into this, and I can't help but think, man, there's got to be some times where you're sitting there going, dude, I mean, I can go down to the pond and fish with him more, and I'm just as happy as I am potentially winning a tournament, watching him win a youth tournament in Jersey.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said that's not in my mind, and it's not something I think about. And I think any fishermen with children, whether they're into fishing or not, think about that, and it's a grueling sport. If you're talking about 8 to 18 events, plus practice, plus travel, it's grueling. So, the thought of having more time at home with all the kids, the thought of at some point passing the torch to Vegas in a more effective way of, being home, being more engaged with what he's doing. Yeah, that thought's there for sure. And there's special days, like when we get a day out on the lake out back here, kayak fishing. We had a couple days on Thanksgiving. Yesterday we had just an hour to get out there and pedal around in the Hobies with them. That's valuable. That's very, very valuable. And you look at the opportunity to, you look at a schedule and you say, I can win this amount of money, or I can win this trophy. And, but at what cost, right? At the cost of being gone for 6 months, the cost of missing a tournament or a soccer game or a graduation or a school dance. I mean, at some point, every professional in life has to balance that out, and I've done the best I've done the best I can in the last 25 years of balancing that with fishing full time. Maybe it's time to balance it in a different way.
Let me just go a little bit further down this, because I'm thinking you got I mean, you look at your stats. You have 8 wins with Bass, 3 or 4 with FLW, the MLF stuff. You've got the classics. You've got the Angler of the Year. You're going to be 50 in 2022. You got the Yug family. Just would you be okay right now if someone said you will never win another professional bass tournament in your career? Would you be okay with that?
I think I would be okay right now. Like looking at you, answering that question, I think I'd be okay. Deep down in my core, I want to keep winning, right? I want to keep competing, but there are so many routes to do that. Like, this is going to sound ridiculous, and I hope that there are some grassroots club guys watching, especially from my part of the world. But I still fish winter leagues. I fished 2 winter leagues this year over the last few weekends. We have 2 tournaments every weekend in the winter here, and both of them I've bombed. I've gotten beat by local South Jersey guys, and it kills me that I sucked in those 2 tournaments.
And they probably talk crap too, being in Jersey.
I'm sure, and it's okay.
They don't talk crap to your face. They're not like, get out of here, Ike.
No, they don't talk. No, not to my face. But I'm okay if they did, because So what I'm saying is, that outlet of still winning and competing, I can still, I think, fill that. But as I'm talking to you, we're in our home office. I'm looking around at things that were childhood dreams for me. I'm looking at the Classic Trophy and the AOI Trophy. I'm looking at the Federation National Championship. I've got FLW and MLF Cups around me. I have done everything I wanted to do in the sport from a winning competitive standpoint. You know, that has settled my mind. And if I've never competed again, I really think I'm settled. The competitor in me, you want more, you know, you want to keep winning, you know, you want more trophies, you know, I am that person. I get that. But I have lived my dreams. I really have. I've lived my dreams competitively. And now there are new dreams, you know, and the new dreams are growing the sport in a place where I can't grow it, right? The box of professional competition is a small box. The box of fishing, sport fishing, is a much bigger box. What if I could influence people on a broader scale globally through fishing and not bass tournaments? That's something I want to do. That's something I want to continue to do. What if getting kids involved, kids that don't normally fish, can I be more effective if I'm not tournament fishing doing that? That's important. You know, not just my own kids, but other kids. I mean, so there are other dreams and goals that I have that I haven't totally fulfilled that are not tournament competition related, you know? And in all honesty, and I don't want to offend anybody, but they are just as important as these other things around, you know?
Okay, let me go this. We can go down that path then, because this is going to connect into something that Mark Jeffries has been near and dear to his heart, and that every other angler that has found themselves kind of in your position after decades and decades in an industry has done. So you recently, last year we had Pat New on, who's the executive director of the NPAA.
Yes.
He recently joins the board of directors for the NPAA. You're part of the PAA back when it was done. You've always been very influential with anglers, boards, and things. Jeffries, for the past 10 years, has talked about a senior tour, 3, 4, 5 events. The only reason I mentioned you turned 50 in 2022, you're talking about this next step in your life. You have these other things going on. I foresee you being the perfect vehicle caveat to utilizing this MPAA with angler benefits, this growing organization that's been around for a long time that not a lot of people know about, for you to still add some more trophies to your mantle, to kick Denny Brower's butt. Well, not Rick Clunn, because he'll never retire. He'll be like the Phil Mickelson. No. He'll be on the Elite Series and fishing it. To maybe kick Larry Nixon's butt another time or two. I mean, Kevin's going to be 52. Maybe he could get in on some of that. You guys can share a community hole and have a and have a senior tour while still accomplishing all your goals outside of it and growing the sport and being the guy who kind of is the leader of a senior tour that Jeffries has talked about for years and years and years as being something that needs to happen, would have sponsor backing, and would have a lot of fans interested in it without being on the road for 6 months out of your life.
Yeah, sign me up. I like it. I like the thought of it. And here's the reality. I think our sport needs some of that. Our sport needs, and Mark, we've talked about it for years. We need alternate events. You know, we need some of the senior tour, specialty events. You know, those kind of things will help grow the sport. I'd love to be a part of that. But it does bring up something, Matt, that's a bigger topic, which is, and I do want to sprinkle this out here too, which is the great thing about our particular sport is you don't age out of it physically. You know, like other sports like basketball or baseball or hockey, you know, where when you hit your 40s, you're sort of physically getting out of it. You know, there's nothing to keep me from leaving professional competition for 5 years, 10 years, and going back, right? There's nothing keeping me from leaving the sport for a little bit. Wouldn't even call it a retirement. It's not the right word. It'd be a pause. A pause might be a better word. And coming back. You know, it's very possible. Even if I have to work my way back, right? Even if I don't get that invite, even if I have to go through the Opens or the Toyota Series and climb that ladder. What a great story, and it can be done. Look at Mike. Oops, sorry, this is BTL. I can't say shit.
No, we could say that. I say stuff like that.
Sorry. Look at Mike Tyson just fought over the weekend. That might not be the best example, but because I think he said he was stoned during the fight. But
it'd be a sabbatical. You take a sabbatical to explore other things, and then you're still like the tournament guy.
I mean that in our sport is on the table, and it's something that I think could happen. But getting back to it, I want to mention this again. I think for a lot of people this year 2020 was a weird, strange year, and it put things in perspective for a lot of people, including us, including our household and me. And with what's going on in the world, with people that we know that are getting sick or that are sick or that have passed this year. We've had so many good friends pass this year. It puts things in perspective. Life is short. Life is so short, and you gotta take every day by the horns and do what you love and do what's right for you. And so my life isn't just tournament fishing. It's a lot more.
Mike, what are your thoughts about Vegas following in your footsteps?
Becky just walked in. Maybe I should have her come on and answer this. Our thoughts for Vegas for all our kids is we want to create functioning, happy adults. That is number one on our priority list is happy, functioning adults that when they leave, when they're 18 and they go to college or whatever they aspire to do, that they are happy, functioning adults. So, for Vegas, it's a little different because he's the first one out of the 4 children that have gravitated toward the competitive side of fishing. And he has that spark, that thing that you see in all true fish heads. It's hard to even detail it, but if you're a fish head, you know what I'm talking about. He just wants to do it. He wants to be engaged in it. He loves nature. He has a feel for it that is beyond teaching. It's hard to describe. I've watched him in the sport. I've watched him engaged in fishing and everything from crappie to catfish to bass. He's a fish head. So, we definitely are encouraging him to follow what makes him really happy. And right now, it's sport from a sports perspective. It's soccer and fishing, and we're really encouraging him to pursue that. It's nice because I know for me to be able to help him with fishing down that route, it be very fulfilling for me because it's actually something I want to do for all young fishermen. And it's another part of this whole next chapter for us where, what if those young kids coming through middle school and high school and college didn't have to struggle as much financially and with branding and marketing and all that stuff, sponsorship and learning that. What if we could help? It's something we want to do outside of Vegas. So, we think about it and we say, what if we help him fulfill it? But at the same time, we are very, 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 very cautious not to push him. And we've done that in his tournaments. We've done that, when Becky's a boat captain or I'm a boat captain, we try to let him do it himself and enjoy it. And if he wants it, we're going to encourage it. If he in the 3-4 years leans more towards soccer and views this more as a hobby, we're totally into that too.
Do you think it's very interesting you said that? So you have seen the youth tournament fishing scene now. Do you think there's a lot of parents and a lot of grade school and middle school kids who want to be Mike Iaconelli 2019 sponsored jerseys out there, cameras, TV, and are not focused on time on the water, fundamentals, catching fish, enjoying your time. Is that a slippery slope? Young grade school youth tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you want to go down there, but
I do want to talk about it because it's a double-edged sword. And as much as I want to encourage every kid that male, female, every youth kid that's out there that is passionate about the sport and wants to fish professionally, man, go for it. You can do it. I want them to pursue that. But it is a double-edged sword because half of the sword is the things that I think that are easy. Not I want to say easy, but the things that why they love it, right? Fishing every day, competing. I mean, that stuff for a lot of the young guys, and I won't name any names. Let me say this in a broad way. A lot of our top-level young anglers today, and I'm saying, in their 20s or younger, have that mastered. They are amazing. They're talented. They can compete. They get the sport. They understand it. But the other side to that sword is where, this is the part where I want these kids to be careful, because professional fishing as it stands today, there are so many other things that are as important as the fishing part of it. The promotional side, the marketing side, the working with sponsors side, the dealing with fan side, the social media side, the entry fee side. That's sort of, you forget about that. You think that's just going to be given to you, or that just comes with the territory. And as the sport stands today, that's not true. You've got to work at that stuff. You've got to hustle as hard on that other side as you do with the fishing side. And I hope the sport gets to a point one day where that other side's easier, where, and this is the part, Matt, and I know when you asked me this, you were thinking about this a little bit, and I think about it all the time. You almost feel bad for these high school and college kids. I'm not talking about the ones that have independently wealthy parents, and there are a few of those out there. I'm talking about the ones that are just normal kids with normal parents, where they do all the right things in high school. They do all the right things in college. They make the classic as college competitors. And then they say, here's your invite. You need to sign a $50,000 check. And that's just entry fees. That's not including your lodging and your tackle and your gas and your food. I want them to be aware of that. And I hope that the sport gets to a point where that's not there. But I want the kids today to be aware of the other side of that sword and have an awareness of it and know how important it is to work just as hard and to be just as good in those other parts of the business, All
right, Mike. I believe this next question obviously is going to be a close-ended question. You can answer yes or no, and then I will progress into my next question. Is this project that you're referencing for next year a television project?
Yes.
Okay. Having said that,
sort of.
The last project from a television standpoint that you worked on, Fish My City.
Yes.
It was an amazing program.
Thank you.
I mean, we Matt and I have talked about it numerous times how good that show was. Why did the network say, you know what, thanks but no thanks? And what you're working on, is it kind of the same element? What can you say?
Okay. Yeah, and I'm glad you asked this stuff, because this is honestly the first time I've talked about it publicly and live like this. So it's a great question. So it is a TV project concept, but let me say that TV is and will be changing as time goes on, right? When I was a kid, we talked, we talked about Ron and Al and the fisherman programming and Jimmy Houston and Hank Parker and all these, even more currently, Zona's show and some great ones that fit into the mold of traditional TV. So this is a TV style project, but I don't want to say it's going to be a traditional TV show. But with a TV style show, you can hit a lot of people. And what we talked about earlier was, how do you reach people outside of the box of competitive tournament fishing? And with this style project, with a TV style project, it's a way to hit a lot of people. So yes, it is sort of a TV show. And the big difference between this project, Mark, and the last few is the way that this one's set up. And this is why I'm so excited about this project in 2021. So our last two projects, TV projects, which we loved and we were passionate about and people loved, City Limits Fishing, and then later, more recently, Fish My City, were great concepts and great TV shows. And I think people liked them. But the venue, the outlet where they aired, and the role of us in the show was different, right? So with this new project, we are owners of the project. We are the production company of this project. We are the directors. We are the financiers. We are everything. We are the show. And the great thing about this time around is instead of being hired talent, right? When you're hired talent, you're just a guy on the piece of paper. With this time around, owning the show and looking for a partner, a network, a home to partner with, it is such a different scenario and such a better feeling. And it will by default make this project more successful. When you're talking with a home and they are vested in it and they are soliciting this project from you, right? So now they're vested in it as much as you are. Mm-hmm. It makes a huge difference. The second part of that is where it ends up. So, Fish My City was a great example because I was a great show. And when we originally talked about the show, they were talking about airing it on Nat Geo and Nat Geo Wild. In the shuffle of things, it ended up being on only Nat Geo Wild. Nat Geo Wild's demo is about 68% women, older women. So, was Nat Geo Wild the right place for it? Probably not. I mean, Nat Geo and Nat Geo Wild dictate the success of a show based on Nielsen ratings. Well, Nielsen ratings is an outdated system to track a show's success. If guys watched, if people watched Fish My City, not when it didn't originally air, 2 days later, or if they watched it via Roku or on demand, we didn't get counted for that. So, was Nat Geo Wild the right home? I don't know. But in this go around, we will find the right home for it. And it's part of the success of it. Like, it's easy to settle on a home for it, but if it's not the right home, we're not going to do it. So this project feels good. It feels right. It's different because we are in control this time around. We're going to find a partner that's vested in the project, and we're going to find a home that's right for it. So I'm excited. I can't wait for you guys to hear more about it. I can't wait for you guys to see the teaser about it. And of course, Mark, we'll let to Bass Zone and BTL on it quickly. First,
let me ask you this: during the prime of those shows, when you're fishing, did you have more people in quotation marks, come up to you and say, "You're Mike Iaconelli, tournament angler," or "You're the guy who fishes on TV"? What was the percentage of recognition based on strictly tournament related, people who knew you that you fished and didn't even know that you fished tournaments?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say over the years, when I look back on those other shows and, when I'm out in the public, I'd say it's about 70-30. About 70% of the people, when they want to talk to you, it's about non-tournament stuff. It's, "Man, I watched you fish I watched you on City Limits Fishing when I was a kid. You were the reason. Oh my God. Do you remember that show where the kid went and grabbed the fishing rod? Do you remember that show where you fished in that drainage tube?" And same thing with Fishing My City. Same thing can be said for even social media, following me through social media, of anglers that are not hardcore bass heads. And there are so many of those out there, right? So, if you're at a bass seminar or the Bassmaster Classic, that percentage might be skewed. But if you're just in a environment where it's just regular people, I'd say a vast majority, 70%, remember the other stuff. And again, for the companies that I work for, right? Let me just throw a couple out there that are national companies: Toyota, Yamaha, Pure Fishing, Rapala, VMC, right? When you look at their sales to just bass fishermen are a very small percent, or just tournament bass fishermen. It's a very small percent of their sales. If you can then open up that to fishermen, to anglers across the board, multi-species in freshwater, saltwater, worldwide, how much of a bigger platform you have to be able to be effective, to be able to sell in that arena. And that's our goal. That's our ultimate goal,
What percent of tournament anglers, guys who fish the BPT, guys who fish the Elite Series, guys who fish the MLF Pro Circuit now, do you think live in a bubble and have no idea what exists outside of the professional fishing world as far as people who fish? How many people do you think have an understanding, like you do, of the world outside of professional tournament fishing?
That's a tricky question. That's a great question, Matt. You always throw me tricky, hard questions. I think there's two parts to this. The one is how many of that body of, let's call it 300 full-time pros.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them want to engage in that beyond the normal, right? I think it's maybe a smaller percentage than you'd think. I would say, maybe 20, 25% really grasp it and want to grasp it. Okay. And that I'm not hurting anybody's feelings. I'm not being, a mean guy here. I think that's being realistic, right? I think a larger percentage know what's out there, but they just don't want to do that, or they just have other things, they've got another business, or they hunt in the fall, or they guide, or, there's a lot of other things in life. So I think there's a larger percentage that know they're out there, but it's just not their cup of tea. And that's cool, man. That's totally cool. For me, and maybe that other 20 to 25%, we obsess every day about fishing. I do. I think about it every day. I think about, how can we reach more people through the business? How can I go fishing? Like right now, I'm looking at the clock sort of. It's like, I'm like 10:39. I got to leave at noon today because I'm driving 5.5 hours to go to the Salmon River tomorrow to steelhead fish. And it's going to snow 6 to 12 inches tomorrow. So I'm going to steelhead fish tomorrow in the snow.
Oh,
so
that's
I'm
perfect.
thinking, yeah.
That's the dream. Steelhead.
That's the dream. But, so I think a smaller percentage think like that, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with the percent that doesn't. But, for me, it's almost obsessive. And for a lot of guys, it's very obsessive to think that way. And how can we impact not just our businesses, right? But how can we impact the sport? How can we impact people to make them want to fish? The good thing, here's another good thing about COVID. I think COVID has forced that group of 300, whatever it is, 300 plus anglers. I think it's forced them to open up their eyes a little bit to what do I need to do to reach people a little bit broader. And I've never seen more YouTube accounts created. I've never seen these guys. I know some of the top pros that I'm good friends with, and I love them. And I'm not knocking on them, but I follow their social medias too, right? I'd look and I'd say, and these are guys that have won classics. Guys, these aren't scrubs. These are guys that have won classics and AOYs. And I look at their social media, and it's like the last time they post was like June 15th. And I'm like, my heart hurts. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Elizabeth, I'm grabbing my heart, But I think COVID has forced these guys to think outside the box a little bit and maybe take a broader look at how they could help their brand, how they can help their sponsors. And even bigger than that, how they're a piece of helping the sport grow. Because that's important, man. That's very important for all of us to do,
Mike, is there a species of fish that you haven't caught that is on your bucket list?
Oh, shit, yeah. Hell yeah. Yes.
What is it?
A lot of them are those more hard to get to species. So they're the obvious ones that I think every fish head might have on his list. Golden Dorado, that big giant trout, the Taiman. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Those exotic species in Australia, giant GTs, barramundi, not barramundi here, like in Orlando, like in that little pond. I mean, like actual giant barramundi, like all those. I'm dying to the COVID thing's kind of killing me because that's stymied that a little for me, but that's on the list. And then there are a bunch that are not exotic either, that are right here that I want to catch. So I've never caught a blue marlin. I've never caught a tuna over 100 pounds.
Wow.
I've never caught a tog over 4 pounds. These are all things that are very accessible here. I've never caught a fantail carp. I'm starting to get into carp fishing now. I've done it a bunch this year. I can catch common carp and grass carp till the cows come home, but a fantail carp. So even a species that seems very mundane, they're on my bucket list. And I have as much motivation to make those check marks as winning more tournaments,
Yeah. The weird thing is you get into the different species, like I have with the crappie now, and you realize there's a whole world in each species that is just as technical, that is just as diehard, and that is just as dedicated as there is for bass. You can find a fantail carp guy who lives for fantail carp. You can find a guy who lives for crappie. You could find a guy who lives for golden dorado, wherever the heck you catch those. And it's like their whole life revolves around that fish, just like ours does around bass.
It's unbelievable. And the more I got to fish, the more I saw that. And I'm so glad I had those experiences through Fish My City and City Limits and all those shows, because it helped me a lot expand into different arenas in fishing. And the one I mentioned, which is carp fishing, when I was in Europe, and also we ended up fishing for some smallmouth buffalo, which isn't technically a carp, down in Austin a few years ago. The carp guys, the European carp method of fishing is 1,000 times more complicated and complex and detailed than bass guys. And it's so cool to see it. And the techniques and the tackle and the terminal tackle and the weighting part of it and the figuring fish out and the baiting holes. And it's incredible. It's incredible. It's a whole nother world.
Yeah. They have tournaments where you have to use a float, but then they weight the float so that the bait is literally touching the bottom. And instead of just putting a split shot on, they weight the line with different size. So when I was kid, when I was doing the Cassid Kids thing, there was this dude there, and he's like, I started talking to him. It turns out it was Mick Thill. Mick
Oh my
Hill.
gosh, yeah, iconic figure.
And he passed away a couple years ago. So I'm 12, 13 years old, and Mick Thill is like trying to get together a Team USA carp team to go over to Europe to compete in the youth carp deal. And I end up somehow getting into this world of carp when I'm 12 or 13, and you're talking about like 25 to 28 foot poles where when you're fighting them, you then drop a section of the rod. You're talking about milligrams. You're using slingshots with stuff that has been worked. You have like
crazy.
You draw a sector of the lake or river, and then that's where you have to fish, and you can't go from out of bounds. And then there's like illegal chumming and legal chumming, and it's crazy. My mom and dad a couple years ago sent me some of these like 9 or 10-inch floats that you weighted to be, a milligram of weight, and it goes under, and you're like, there's old bugle lips.
It's unbelievable. It's so technical, and those guys are so technical, and and for a lot of the world, we're caught in the U.S. bubble here, right? But in a lot of the world, Europe and Asia for sure, carp is king. The carp species and that style of fishing is way more popular than bass fishing. So it's a very big universe. And the thing that I like about it as well is, when we talk a lot here internally, when we're talking about growing the sport, we're talking about kids, we talk about urban settings, we talk about non-traditional, right? Not the kids that grow up in the country, right? Kids that live in a city. A lot of those fisheries that are in the cities or in the urban centers are premier carp water. So, it's just a good thing. I mean, a fish is a fish, a fight is a fight, a bite is a bite. It's all, you can all relate it. They're as complex as we are in the bass world,
To put a bow on it, though, and I've done steelhead fishing in Alaska, there's no one that's more nuts than steelhead guys. I mean, those guys are like scary nuts. Like if you're doing the wrong thing in the river, or you get in the wrong drift, or you're using something that, dude, those guys are hardcore.
Oh yeah.
The steelhead guys.
Yeah, the guy that I'm fishing with tomorrow, and the other great thing, a lot of these little trips that I've been on and going on, we're filming them all for Going Ike on the Mike Iaconelli YouTube channel, of course. And this guy that I'm fishing with tomorrow, Adrian Lasorte, is the premier guide up in that part of the world, up in New York. And I got the salmon fish with them last year. And a lot of the stuff, they're so technical. They're so good at their craft. But a lot of the stuff does transfer. And it's the great part of fishing, so that a steelhead guy can teach a bass guy can teach a carp guy can teach a walleye guy. And it all has a little bit of conversion there, where you can learn and then take it to your species or your location and adapt it,
And Ron Linder caught a bigger one than both of us will ever catch of every single species that's
I'm
out there.
sure he has. Well deserved too. Well deserved.
All right, dude. We're gonna wrap things up here. I've got something that was on the back. I don't know if you saw me. I went and grabbed it. I don't know if you can see it.
Is that a can of Iked Up?
It is.
Don't open
it.
Don't open it.
No, I'm not going to open it.
Okay, good. That's a collector's edition.
It is a collect. How many of these do you think still exist, Mike?
Man, I don't know. That was such a cool opportunity. Work with a beverage company. Got to be 10 years plus back now.
Yeah.
To work on an energy drink, and it was such a cool opportunity. And the one thing that we're striving to do, and Mark, I don't know. I know we have a can in our studio, and thank you for having that there. That's a nice piece of
tasted like Skittles, went great with vodka. Continue.
It was really good with Grey Goose back then, or Tory, or
now everyone does the potato vodkas. I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know. And anyway, I don't know how many exist, but it's a great piece of memorabilia. But this is a great way to end it too, Mark. I want to tell you that we want to take over the world, and we want Ike approved everything. So, as you see these things coming out, don't be surprised.
Go down this road.
Look at this. Look at this.
The He-She socks?
We've got socks now from Heshy. Yeah. We have Ike approved socks.
Wow.
I want Ike approved everything. So the goal over here is just world domination and world takeover, man. What can I tell you?
Well, here, I want to read something off the can that I don't even know if you know it was on here. One very interesting sentence. It says, this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Wow. What does it say on there? Is there anything on there that says you'll fish better or something like that? That it like helps you fish better?
Man.
No, not really. I just found that quite interesting.
So energy drinks were a tricky business. I mean, with ingredients and even canning or bottling, distribution, it was tricky. I can tell you, I'll give you another real quick, a little foreshadowing to something that's coming real soon. And we actually borrowed the name. You're going to see an Iked Up coffee from Outfitters Coffee Company coming really, really soon, like soon. And the coffee world, Mark, is a lot easier to dive through, to swim through than the energy drink world was.
There's totally something that needs to be read out loud on this. You give 110% in everything you do. Shouldn't your energy drink do the same? Iked Up gets you ready to leave it all on the field the same way professional angler Mike Iaconelli approaches his job each and every day. Whether it's the first time or a regular occurrence, you give it all you've got, and so does Ike. That's why he still lets out his signature scream every time he lands a fish, imploring fans to, in bold, never give up. Leave the mainstream energy drinks on the shelf where they belong. When you need to perform, grab the drink that never gives up and get Iked Up. I tell you what, right now, if I had read that before I went to Louisville, trying to make the Elite Series, I would have cracked this thing at about noon on day one, and I'd have come in with a limit.
Oh, man. Oh, wow. That's so awesome. Yeah,
it's in great shape, man.
No, it's not. Feel how it looks like it's I wouldn't shake that thing.
Bubbly.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you might want to leave that. We actually, in our studio too, Mark, we still have one of the cereal boxes from when I was on Team Kellogg's. I don't know if a lot of people remember that, but I fished for Team Kellogg's for a few years over in FLW. Yeah. And the cereal's still in there. I don't know if I would eat that either. So you might want to leave that unopened. But cool project. That was a cool project.
I mean, you have to answer this if you want, but do you make $1 million off of that? Like, I mean, do you make the energy drink and then all of a sudden 7-figure checks start rolling in from people who are buying Iked Up? Or, I mean, how does that, I mean.
So a lot of, some, they all work different. Like some of them work where on the front end, you would get a nice sum. And others worked on, the post sale of the product, right? So you get a piece of the sale. So, on that one, like I said, the energy drink world, what we learned was a lot of it had to do with distribution. Distribution was the key term. So, and it's hard to compete with the Red Bulls and the NOS and
Monsters
Monster. It's hard to compete with those guys. So, that one didn't necessarily go as far as we would have liked it, but there are other projects that have really went well. And Mark, my motto. It's always been this way from day one. And Ike Live is a classic example of that. Got to thank you. You're the reason Ike Live exists. I still don't know if I'd even be in podcasting if it wasn't for you. So thank you for that. Yeah. But our motto has always been throw it on the wall. Like if that opportunity's there, work hard, try to make the best thing you can make. And some of them stick and some of them don't. And the ones that don't make great memorabilia on your bookshelf.
Exactly. All right, man. Last question and then we'll let you go. I'm curious, over the years when you were a kid, did you ever go to the mall or the shopping center and sit on Santa's lap?
What?
And ask Santa for, tell Santa what you want for Christmas?
Where is this going?
Oh, yeah. Of course I did. Oh,
no,
yeah.
Seriously.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I want to say this the right way now. Up until
come over here and sit on Santa's lap, little
No. Listen. My mom, and she doesn't listen to any of this. Uncle Don's. Oh, by the way, Mark, Uncle Don is the biggest BTL fan you have. I'm not kidding you. Uncle Don loves the show, so Uncle Don will be listening to this. Love you, Uncle Don. My mom, I'm going to put her on blast right now. I love my mom. She's the biggest hoarder that exists. Like, seriously, you know the hoarding shows on TV?
Oh, yeah.
She could be, it's not, her house isn't dirty like that, but she keeps everything. And I have, she, you know, and she loves showing the old pictures, right? You know?
Yeah.
So I have pictures of me at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old on Santa's lap. And I'm sure I'm asking Santa for something fishing related. You know, I can tell you that later in life, I've told this story before, but later in life, as I sort of, you know, then found out that maybe Santa maybe wasn't real, you know, maybe he is, I don't know. My big gifts every year, you know, as a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old were always something fishing related. The highlight of one of my Christmases, my big gift was the color selector. And I don't think I own it anymore. I'm sad. It's the one thing that I think I got rid of that I wish I still did. But the color selector was the big gift for me the year that it was a big item. And I want to say, yeah, there it goes. Look at that.
Yeah.
You got one in yours.
Yeah.
Can't remember the exact year, but I was 12, 13, 14. I was in that phase where all I wanted was fishing stuff. So, you know, I sat on Santa's lap. I asked Santa for the color selector.
You know who made that? You know who that was, right?
That was
Kenyon's dad.
Kenyon's dad. That's right.
Yeah.
Lauren
Kenyon's
Hill.
dad. Yep. Kenyon's dad. And it was great. And I'm still that way. Like right now, if Vegas asked me for something, what do I want? I want high-end swim baits. And I'm not kidding you. So last year, this is going to be ridiculous. Last year, and this is, my son is so sweet. He saved up his money. He didn't have enough, so Becky helped him with it. But he found this Japanese bait that I wanted by a company called Kasu. Kasu. I don't know if I'm saying it right. And they got it from like, I can't remember the website. They found this Japanese-only website. It might have been North Carolina Fishing Tackle. It might have been. And I got it. And it was like, you know, Becky was getting me great stuff. My mom got me great stuff. But then I opened this, and it was this swim bait. It was the single joint big swim bait. And I was like, it was like I was so happy, you know, because it was sort of bringing me back to my youth, you know.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, can't thank you enough, Mike, for taking time out. I know you're super busy, but appreciate all your help and loyalty off the years and the friendship. And please have a very, very healthy and happy holiday season over Christmas, and enjoy the steelhead fishing, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and I hope you guys have a great holiday as well. Matt, Mark, both of you have a great super holiday. And just real quick, want to remind everybody, if you want, the holidays are coming, right? So if you want this Ike gear that you see right here, of course, we've got a sale all the way up to the last shipping day before Christmas on MikeIaconelli.com/shop. Also want to encourage everybody to go to my YouTube. You know, you're going to see this salmon trip. Last week, we put one up. I caught 41.8 pounds with my 5-fish limit down in Florida. That's up there now. So we got some great content in the shops up there. Go to Mike Iaconelli Fishing on YouTube. And last but not least, Mark, we're going to have our Ike Live Christmas special on December 18th. We're going to have some great guests coming on, so I want everybody to tune in for that as well.
All right, very cool. We will make sure to remind everybody on the show about that show and about all the stuff that you have associated with Ike Live and your merchandise on your website, dude.
Yeah, and if you get a chance, definitely check out the AFTCO promotion we have going on right now. I know Matt mentioned it.
$1,000, isn't it?
Yeah, $1,000 worth of AFTCO gear. It's such a simple, all you got to do is like, share, and subscribe. Go to my social channels, go to the AFTCO website, get information on it. Go to MikeIaconelli.com, get information on it. All you got to do is like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You're entered to win it. If you end up getting coal for Christmas and you were bad, you could win $1,000 in AFTCO gear. This is crazy.
Very nice.
Crazy.
All right, man. Stay warm, Mike.
All right, guys.
All right. See
ya. See you guys.
Right. There you have it, Mike Iaconelli. Good stuff there, man. I know that is a different kind of interview with different kind of responses, and I think he really kind of opened up with this whole situation, and we'll see what happens over the next 4 to 6 weeks.
He's not done tournament fishing, but he might not tournament fish these next couple years. There's no way he's done, though. Like, for good? Or even for this year. Do you agree with me? He will fish professional tournaments again at some point in his life. It could be next year.
I agree with that.
It could be 2 years from now. It could be 3 years from now.
Yeah. I think this project that he's working on right now is probably the most important project that he's ever been involved with his entire life. It's that important.
Now, does he have PR guys and managers and all that? Or
He's
is
got
it
Becky.
him? It's just him and Becky.
Yeah.
Because I know other guys have people.
Well, no, he has, and Becky has a fairly large and very smart supporting staff.
Right.
But
it's all
really
them.
build the
It's
brand.
not like someone that they don't
No,
know.
they don't
that's,
outsource
That's
it, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah, there is no outsourcing. Just like what he said about the television show. They're going to produce it. They own it. They control it.
Now, here's a question. I saw this brought up on the message board. You know, he was talking about how big the world is outside of the bass fishing. And they said, well, he would never have had any of these opportunities had it not been for the name that he built in bass fishing.
Yeah.
But you look at Jeremy Wade and these guys who have other fishing shows on networks that aren't, you know what I mean? I mean, there's a number of those.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, had he not won classics and Anglers of the Year and done the never give up thing, that he still would be successful with a show like City Limits at Fish My City? Because he said that 70% of the people that approach him don't even know he tournament fishes. Or do you think that the tournament success was what got his foot in the door that led to other opportunities? Or is he a type of guy whose personality, he'd be there even if he'd never casted for cash?
No, I think he's a combination of all three, honestly. I think the success definitely helped him.
Mm-hmm.
The iconic moment that took place during the Bassmaster Classic, and if you read his biography, or if you go back and you watch the 20 Feet Deep documentary that we did on him, he talks about what his life was like prior to that classic. Dude, he was going to give up fishing. He was done, finished, and he ended up winning the classic that week. His life was a mess, but the classic changed his life, and that moment changed his life. How many times did that moment get played on SportsCenter?
It's over and over and over. I mean, it's seared into everybody who fishes. It's played
Yeah.
every single classic in the highlights and everything. I
Yeah.
mean,
but his continued success, his winning, his ability to market his brand is what made him better.
I mean, that classic is, wouldn't you say that's like the Michael Jordan tongue out shot from the top of the circle?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
That's the Babe Ruth calling the shot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's the Gretzky 800.
It might be.
It's the Bobby Orr flying through the air against the Blues to win the Stanley Cup.
It might be.
I mean,
It
that's
might
the
be.
iconic moment in professional bass fishing.
That would be a great show to get feedback from the fans on what they feel.
The iconic moment in tournament
moments
bass
in
fishing.
bass fishing.
That one has to be number one. There's absolutely no way it's not number one.
I agree with you. I agree.
That's, like I said, that is Bobby Orr flying through the air to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
It was Sanderson to Orr, score. You know what I mean?
The picture, it's plastered everywhere. A lot of black and white back then, though. Black and white
That's
photos.
in college football. That's if the band is on the field. The band is on the field.
The Stanford.
Yeah, that's the Stanford. I mean,
cow.
there's one in every sport, and he's got it in bass fishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, that was 17 years ago. Does it seem like it was that long ago?
No. But I think he has matured. He has become a very, very sharp business person. Becky is, I mean, she's the rock of the whole business. And what they do together to build the Ike brand is somewhat unique in the aspect that it remains small, but it is a well-oiled machine of which they have both worked, and their entire staff has worked extremely hard to continue the brand and make the brand successful. So, different kind of interview. Agreed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I probably won't. We won't go that reflective with John Cox tomorrow.
No.
Not that he's not a multi-dimensional angler.
Dude, I think it was important. And you know, there was a post, I don't know who made it on YouTube. It said, enough of the family stuff. I think that was really unnecessary because two reasons. One, the importance of family in Mike Iaconelli's life was obviously present during that interview.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I think that has changed. That has actually grown over the period of time. And I seriously think the way that I set it up and his responses, family is going to have a massive impact on the decisions that are made over the next 4 to 6 weeks.
I think there might have been some people who listening to this that hear Mike Iaconelli and want to hear him come on and say, this is what I hated about the BPT and why I'm not doing it, or this is what I missed about the Elite Series. And in actuality, what you find out is it had nothing to do with either. It really seemed like it had nothing to do with either of them. It wasn't a burning desire to return to Bass or a burning desire to leave MLF. It was hey, I've had a year to reflect and a busy year, and I'm going to see what happens. There wasn't a smoking gun, so to speak.
Yeah. I thought it was great, man. Ike is awesome. Definitely in the Hall of Fame. Unanimous. I mean, as soon as that ballot comes out and his name's on it.
We'll have broken rods and stuff in there. This rod was broken with Mike Iaconelli.
Think the flagpole? Do you think he still has the flagpole?
No.
Probably not.
Where'd that rod go from the TTBC?
Yeah. Do what now?
Was that on Conroe or was that on Lewis? That was remember where he snapped the rod and chucked it in the lake?
It's happened multiple times. I think it was Conroe. That one.
Like I said, when I did the Pure Fishing Pro staff in 13 and 14, I always cleared it with them. But, Ike would come back from a day and he'd be like, hey, man, I broke 6 rods today. I don't know how it happened. And I'd be like, I could give a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
And I'd give them away. The kids would line up. It'd be like the broken hockey sticks.
Yeah. The dude is making the post on YouTube once again. He said, no, it's not about family. He's doing a show. Dude, do you not understand why he's doing a show if that's what he chooses to do? He said it in the interview. He has reflected during this time and understands the importance of family. What don't you understand about that?
And making money helps take care of the family.
Well, obviously, but Mike's
interconnected deal.
He's done pretty well.
If you can make money and take care of the family, that's a win-win situation.
He's done pretty well. I just the importance and there's been, I truly believe, and I've spent a lot of time around him. I truly believe that there has been a dynamic shift in the importance of family to Mike Iaconelli. Not that it wasn't important 10, 15 years ago. I just think as your kids get older and the dynamic changes in what life is all about from a family perspective, decisions are made based upon the characteristics that you are surrounded by. It's simple as that. I mean, dude, I'm not mad at you. I just think you're being a little harsh on the whole family thing.
Not me.
No, the dude on the instant feedback on the YouTube.
People are saying, chill out, Mark. We don't need to spike the heart rate right around the holidays. You're working yourself up here.
Well,
relax, deep breath.
I'm okay.
You've got 7 doctors, for God's sake. We don't need 8.
I'm all right. I'm fine. All right. I'm all good. All right. Tomorrow, John Cox. Anything else, Matthew?
No. We'll see if it cracks freezing in Burnside, Kentucky.
All right. Good show, man. And I want to thank Mike once again for taking time out. Have you ever went steelhead fishing?
Yeah, I literally said that I've been steelhead fishing
in Alaska. That's right.
On the Anchor River.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
Here's what happened. It'll take 30 seconds to tell the story. I catch a silver salmon that's in season, legal to keep, while I'm steelhead fishing with a spinning rod, already getting a ton of hate for fishing with a spinning rod for steelhead, while everyone else was fly fishing, purists. So I keep the silver. Steelhead anglers thought I'd kept a steelhead, called the law. Law comes down. Hey, you gotten steelhead down here? No, it's a silver. Made me unpack it, show it everything was good.
Yeah.
They take it real seriously.
Yeah.
Real seriously. They're not happy about it.
All right, that's going to wrap things up today. Everybody, please stay warm, be safe, and we will talk to you on Wednesday. That's it. We're out of here.